his dream.
They don't appear at the same time.
Oh, that's the fun. That's the funny part.
All right. Let's do a quick socialize that.
And socialize this.
We're socializing here.
Hey now.
Podcasting, the ultimate social network.
I thought that was Facebook.
Oh, heavens no.
I like the thumbnail. I see Chuck cleaning his glasses.
That's right.
Clint's looking away, and I got my eyes closed.
One of our better ones.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a keeper.
Yeah.
I purposely cleaned my glasses at that point. I knew exactly what was going on. Always know where the camera is.
It's right there.
Staring into the dark abyss. All right. Let me check the audio levels. Level. Hello, everyone. Clinton, your turn.
Hello. I am here.
Craig.
Hello.
Hola.
Beaming in from Mexico is Craig Stepp.
Right.
Okay, the thumb drive is in the mixer. So when I hit record.
With the hip new tequila that everyone will be talking about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Es muy auténtico.
Viva, viva.
All right, you ready?
I guess.
Give you the hand signal.
The family-friendly one, right?
As soon as you're done.
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 157 for Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. Coming up in this episode, the Enterprise comes home. Yay! More Trek. Boo! Less Trek. We take a grand tour of Discovery's journey. All that and more right now on The Topic is Trek. Janal in the family. Welcome to The Topic is Trek, the podcast that runs on impulse power. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. Woo. Hello, everyone. I'm Clinton, one of your co-hosts here on The Topic is Trek, and I welcome you to another thrill-packed edition of the show. And of course, to be a co-host, I have to have other co-hosts with me. It's one of the rules. So beaming in to join me from parts unknown with the hip new catchphrase that maybe even he'll be talking about tomorrow is Mr. Craig Stepp.
Well, butter my biscuits.
Are they replicator biscuits? I don't really know how that.
No, that was from Tennessee 5, the planet just discovered. So
well, on that
orbit around Memphis 4.
All right. And also beaming in to join me is Mr. Chuck Tomasi. Hello, Chuck.
That startup artwork you had with Janal and the family was comically disturbing.
It was.
If you missed it and you're listening to the audio only, it had Dr. Culber sitting in Archie Bunker's chair with a cigar. And Dr. Ta'ana is crossing her arms with the sour face on. So, yeah. Imagine. AI, so what can't you do?
I just had to do it.
Right.
Well, apologies for anybody who was trying to tune in on last Thursday night. There were technical issues. We weren't able to record, and fingers crossed that we won't have any technical issues tonight.
Yeah, the subspace network was down.
Yeah. Do have a question though, is would a solo host with multiple personalities be a host or a co-host? The answer is yes and no.
Yeah. Yes and no. That's right.
So thank you, Jared, for that question.
Just the Heisenberg compensators.
We always encourage people to be part of the live show because we do it. It's streamed on Facebook and Twitter, and we have a chat section open. So come on and join us. It's a fun time.
Hey, you could have the Rikers on.
You could.
Yeah, and that would kind of answer that question a little bit.
All right, but right now, got a feeling things may be a bit different this week because comes the part of the show where we're going to do subspace chatter. So I have to ask Charlie. Charlie, is it okay to do subspace chatter?
Sure thing, friend. I love subspace chatter. Let's get going.
Ooh, it's Mirror Charlie.
Wow.
Mirror Charlie in the house.
He took his meds today.
He did. He's just all ready to go.
Whatever he's been smoking, I want some.
Yeah, it looks like a little beatnik with that beard.
Go, man, Van Gogh. All right, let's go on to our first story. And it's a bit of a downer, but we'll try to get past that afterwards because we here at the Topic is Trek are sad to note the passing of John G. Trimble, truly an essential figure in the story of Star Trek. Trek and fandom as we know it owe eternal gratitude to the efforts and the passions of John and Bijo Trimble. The couple launched the legendary grassroots letter writing campaign to save Star Trek following NBC's cancellation of the original series. The effort resulted not only in a third season on NBC, but the extra episodes meant Trek was able to enter syndication. And the rest is, well, shall we say history? John and Bijo also created and ran the World Science Fiction Art Show for Worldcon, and John emceed countless costume contests, panels, and ceremonies. And both he and Bijo were very active in the Society of Creative Acronyms. Our thoughts go out to Bijo, the extended Trimble family, and all those who knew and loved John. So I got a chance to meet John actually just a couple of years ago. I think for the first time. I may have run into him at another convention, but he and Bijo were guests at a convention in Boston. And one of the panels was a very, very small attendance. It was like 6 or 7 people, just kind of like a coffee clatch kind of thing. So we had a chance to talk for quite a while. It was a very, very enjoyable time. So
that's great.
I had the opportunity.
We'll give him the proper sign off. No, not that one. This one.
There we go. All right, Craig.
Hey, Clinton, were you able to tell him your letter was the first one you sent in?
He said, "Oh, you were the one with the crayon that just all
crayon."
Wrong. So.
Next time, don't spill your hot chocolate on the letter.
That's right.
All right, Craig, what's up next?
All right. So wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. So, I thought Chuck was reading the first one. Anyway, so in a 1-2 punch in Phil's, Paramount Plus has announced that Star Trek Strange New Worlds has been renewed for a 4th season. Yay. But the upcoming 5th season of Star Trek Lower Decks will be its last. Ooh. So Strange New Worlds is currently in production in its 3rd season, while Lower Decks is well into production in its 5th and final season, which should be on Paramount this fall. Sorry, I was getting tripped up on that word. So in a message to fans, Kurtzman and Lower Decks executive producer and showrunner Mike McMahon left the doors open for continuing the character stories. Might we suggest Star Trek Middle Decks?
Just a thought. A thought.
We'll call it Up the Ranks.
Yeah.
There you go.
Jeffrey's Tube. Star Trek Jeffrey's Tube. There we go.
Yeah.
Or you could go back to the poker games and have Star Trek Bicycle Decks. Good idea there.
Well, we actually have seen 2 of our characters on Strange New Worlds. Maybe we'll see them all or something.
I think that there's a possibility. Who knows?
Star Trek PowerPoint decks, the most boring show on there.
Hey, if they all went over to Strange New Worlds universe, you could see Pike starting to binge drink on the bridge. He was.
That's why he left the bridge.
He just opened a panel on the captain's chair, start drinking.
All right, Chuck, what do you got for us?
I got a story for you. Star Trek is finally going to boldly head back to the big screen.
Yay!
All right. At least we have new hope it's going to happen. During the Paramount Pictures panel at CinemaCon, we received confirmation that at least one new Trek movie is officially on its way. It will be the so-called origin story, currently being written by Seth Grahame-Smith and directed by Toby Haynes. We're still waiting for the first female Trek movie director.
Mhm.
From past information, we know that this will be a prequel set decades before the time of Kirk and Spock. It will serve as an origin story for the franchise's main timeline. Studio executives are said to be currently focusing on right-sizing the budgets for Star Trek films, as they've seemingly acknowledged that the franchise doesn't have the potential for billion-dollar returns like Marvel and Star Wars.
Mhm.
The movie is currently slated to begin production later this year, with the release date sometime in 2020.
Well, they're claiming 2025. We shall see.
Yeah.
You better hurry up.
You take it. There was no update given to the so-called Trek 4 movie set in the Kelvin timeline. Paramount announced yet another Star Trek prequel. You can see our links to that and more over at thetopicustrek.com in the episode, I'm going to guess 157 show notes. Janal in the family over at thetopicustrek.com.
You are correct, sir. Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah, $100.
Well, in a subject close to my heart, vendor Pop Culture Coffee has announced the launch of a collection of limited edition Star Trek branded coffees. They are promising a flavorful array of carefully curated coffee beans inspired by iconic Star Trek characters, cultures, and starships. Each bag of Star Trek coffee features unique artwork. The line will start with 2 blends of ground coffee inspired by Star Trek, the original series. Captain's Choice is a smooth, medium roast featuring James T. Kirk, and Vulcan Vanilla is a flavorful Madagascar vanilla roast featuring Mr. Spock. Both are priced at $17.99 for a 12-ounce, that's 340 grams, bag, and are due to arrive on May 12th. You may pre-order at popculturecoffee.com. Now, naturally, like many of you, we are puzzled by the omission of a Janeway Nebula blend in the initial batch of beans. But regardless, we'll have a link to the pre-order page for those 2 blends over in the show notes for episode 157, Janal and the Family, over at thetopicustrek.com.
All right.
Oh, the imagination runs. Craig, where would you like to start?
I'm surprised that the Vulcan one is not like very bland.
Yeah. And do they even drink coffee? That was my question. I don't know.
Where's
not
the,
logical.
where's the Klingon Ractogino, or my personal favorite, the Tribble blend?
It tickles.
You start to drink it and you go, oh, what's that? Hair.
Absolutely.
Hair.
The imagination is just reeling with excitement on this one. Where are they going to the names?
Yeah. So, all right. Well, courtesy of listener Diane, we get to travel all the way back to 1982.
Woo.
Again, 1982. At least in video form from that year. In a short clip, Leonard Nimoy, dressed in business casual attire, is standing outside a theater playing Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. I thought he was playing it. Oh, well. He is asking people who have just seen the film if they think Spock is really dead.
These kids are now in their 50s.
Yeah, I know. Well, the answers might surprise you. Well, we'll have a link to that video at the show notes again at episode 157, Janal and the Family, over at thetopicustrek.com.
Do you really think Spock is dead?
I don't know. You know,
I think 32 years is a long. The spoiler alert is over.
Look, he did die.
Well, that's true, but there are other Spocks, so there we go.
That's what you get for spoiler alerts.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay,
wait.
Chuck.
No, we actually had this.
Spoiler.
We haven't used that in a while.
Yeah.
Dust it off. It's been 42 years.
42 years.
It's been over 80 years. No, that's different. That's
well, following up on a story we covered several months ago, the original model of the Starship Enterprise is returned to the family of Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry. Heritage Auctions last week returned the long-lost model featuring featured in the original Star Trek series opening credits, to Eugene Roddenberry Jr., CEO of Roddenberry Entertainment and son of, yes, the late Gene Roddenberry.
That's a lot of Roddenberry in that sentence.
Yes, it is.
Roddenberry.
I want the Roddenberry jelly.
Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of Roddenberry.
Yeah.
The 3-foot-long USS Enterprise was believed to have disappeared in the 1970s when Gene loaned it to the makers of Star Trek the Motion Picture. It resurfaced last fall when an unnamed person discovered it and brought it to Heritage for authentication. The auction house then contacted Rod Roddenberry to coordinate its return. The model has unquestionably seen better days, with its nacelles off-centered, yellowed surface, and scratch lettering on the saucer section. But, as Doug Drexler noted on Facebook, it's not bad for a model that's been sitting in a storage locker for decades.
True.
It does not appear that there has been any decision made whether or not to attempt to restore this model.
So
I was wondering the same thing, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
Let it droop.
it's very, it's a very, delicate procedure in this case. I mean, at least with the one in Smithsonian, all the pieces were big. Now you get something that's really, really tiny
Yeah.
to work with. Although the photo that we had up, a lot of the people that worked on the restoration of the one at the Smithsonian, the consultants were in that photo looking at this thing. And I'm sure they're all going, if we just kind of did this and a little bit of that, then we could make something happen here.
Hey, actually, all those people in that photo could probably fix it up in about 10 minutes.
That's right.
You got all that brain power in that room.
All righty. So I'm going to ask you to help me out here, Craig. I'm going to get the first slide up, and then there's a couple more after that.
Here's the hint. You don't have to ask. I know.
Okay.
We've done it. We've done it.
Turning to our seemingly endless segment, the battle for Paramount Mountain. At this moment, Paramount Global is continuing exclusive talks with David Ellison's Skydance and Jerry Carindale's Redbird Capital. But that exclusive negotiation period is coming to a close. Institutional investors in Paramount Global are getting increasingly anxious about the Skydance, the Skydance negotiations with National Amusements, and that they would then merge with Paramount. The investors do not want to see a deal that benefits National Amusements owner Sherry Redstone, but not others who own stock in Paramount. I think it's a bit reasonable, don't you?
Sure.
But speaking of stock and investors, Paramount Global stock continues to spike in double-digit percentages, all on different parts of this purchase news. Speaking of which, this time it's on rumors that Sony Pictures is in talks with Apollo Management to jointly bid for Paramount. As we've mentioned previously, Apollo previously made a $26 billion offer for Paramount, inclusive of equity and debt, though it was reportedly dismissed. But partnering with Sony would likely eliminate any cash or financial concerns.
That must be nice.
However, Sony already owns a film and TV studio.
True.
And antitrust authorities would hone in on the effect of studio consolidation on theater owners and pay TV subscribers. Because Sony is foreignly owned, its purchase of Paramount's CBS television stations would trigger review by the FCC, as well as agencies that check telecom transactions for national security implications. Reviews that could take 6 months or more.
Yikes.
I don't want to be in this for another 6 months doing this.
Yeah.
And as if all that wasn't enough in this front to keep track of, comedian, media mogul, and owner of the Weather Channel, Byron Allen, has just entered into the battle for Paramount Mountain by making a $30 billion offer for the debt and equities of Paramount Global. The Allen Media Group and its strategic partners are offering to buy all of Paramount Global's outstanding shares, taking on Paramount Global's debt and equity. Now, reportedly, Allen would seek to then sell the Paramount Studios, real estate, and intellectual property. He would keep the linear networks as well as Paramount Plus. So that's breaking the team up. You may recall that we previously reported on Allen's $3.5 billion bid for Paramount Global's BET and VH1 networks. Now, Paramount Global is scheduled to post its quarterly earning results after the market closes on Monday, April 29th. And I'll be listening to see if there's any news related to the merger or to Star Trek itself.
Thank you.
We shall see.
Hey, in
Earnings
other
calls are
news,
always so much fun.
I remember Byron Allen on Real People. Do you
Mhm.
remember that show?
Mhm.
And all of a sudden his name came up, something else related, and I was like, they were talking about maybe it was Paramount. He was talking about buying. I was like, that Byron Allen,
Yeah.
and I had to look. I was like,
That's right.
wow, he's really done pretty good for himself. I
Yep.
was surprised. I had no idea that he was so well off.
Well, the first I was aware of it is when he was, making that bid for, I think originally I think it might have just been for BET, but I'm not sure. It might have been for both of them. And that's when I started to go, he's kind of into a lot of stuff now. This is very interesting.
Yeah,
All
maybe
right.
it
In
was something
Vulcan,
like that.
Alberta,
Yeah.
Canada news. Well, maybe there'll be some stories next episode because
Are they not
aside
doing
from
anything
finding
up
some
there?
stolen trucks, yeah,
Stolen truck.
they need to get, things rolling there.
Yeah, is everybody just stuck in their homes, hanging out?
I guess. I'm not sure what's going on, but
It's still another 6 weeks till spring.
so maybe they're just waiting. Everything's like under the surface, just waiting to go. Now,
Instead of Puxatony Phil, they got like a tribble that comes out and looks for a shadow.
and if
Not
it's
yet.
easy, that's 6 more tribbles. No, I don't know.
It's Vulcan. They're going to have a sellout come out and look for a shadow.
Yeah,
Oh.
true. Maybe.
All right. We covered a lot of stories, but we have a ton more stories that you can find in the show notes for this episode that cover all aspects of Trek, the movies, the television series, comics, video games, what the actors are up to, various pieces of science related Star Trek stories. All that stuff is in the show notes for episode 157, Janal and the Family, over at thetopicstrek.com. Now, with that said, this is going to be interesting because I don't normally look forward to this, but I think I'm kind of. It's time to say goodbye, Charlie.
Thanks for having me along. It
Yeah.
was fun. But now my Phasian step parents are calling, so I gotta go! 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 Go!
The bathroom's on the left. No,
His
there's a
phase-
bathroom on the right.
He's
Right.
phased in. His step parents. Nice.
Well,
Very nice.
it's. I hope we see more of Mirror Charlie because he's certainly a lot nicer than Prime Universe Charlie.
Yeah. He may consider go ahead and shaving on that mirror universe though.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Does shaving the goatee off automatically put you into the regular universe? And so if he does that, he's going to be just like, I think you should leave it. I think you should keep
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Won't do it again. I'll be good. We're going to need a database for all these other articles. Let people browse them.
Indeed.
Hmm.
I'll leave that up to you to work on.
Yeah.
All
It was
right.
Chuck's idea. He gets some work on it.
Now it's time to head out on our main mission with an appropriate sound effect.
Let's see. Let's go with, this will work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Open up.
Sure.
Open up.
Let's see. Why don't we have, since you gave us the effect, Chuck, why don't you give us the lowdown on the first episode we're going to be talking about?
All right. This is season 5, episode 3, because remember they opened up with 1 and 2 on the same week, named Janal. Where have I heard that name before in this episode?
Yeah.
Like it's part of the family or something. Written by Kyle Jarrow and Lauren Wilkinson, directed by Andy Armaganian. Armaganian? We're not that good with names over here. We'll keep
Armaganian.
trying. The
Yeah.
Armaganians were in orbit around Armagania 4.
Yeah.
So on Trill, Burnham, Booker, and Culber must pass a dangerous test to prove themselves worthy of the next clue. Adira reconnects with Gray, and Saru's first day as ambassador is complicated by his entanglements to Tarina. It's my first day on the job. You get to blow something up, you get one excuse.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I thought I'd start off with a quick question for you guys. This is not the rating, but
Okay.
Did you guys enjoy this episode? Was there anything in the episode that surprised you that happened in
The
here?
end surprised me, but we'll get to that when we get to that, in case
Okay.
anyone hasn't seen it. The
Felt very slow.
Hmm.
I felt like
I
it was.
yeah, I felt like there was a one point that I think we'll end up talking about, but overall, given how many sets of relationships were going on in this episode, I thought that it wasn't the jumbled mess that I was afraid it was going to be. With you have that stuff with Saru and the stuff with
Yeah.
with Culber and the stuff with Adira and it's just a lot of different things happening. But I felt like
Well,
they got
Booker and Michael too.
yeah, so they got through a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I
in here.
thought they were darn lucky to find that the 900-year-old Trill was still alive.
Yes. So we get to find out that apparently you can
You
the
can
host can
you can
not
do
the host,
a mind
symbiote.
transfer of some type that we've never seen before.
I think we have seen that before. I don't know if we've seen the effect before, but I believe in Deep Space Nine, I believe we had that actual process happen on
Okay.
the show.
Well,
So
I
that
did
did
not
happen.
Maybe.
I think
and it
for me,
makes
one of
your
the- one of the
voice
things-
deeper and sexier than Culber normally is.
yes. Well, that's one of the things that I really liked about this episode. And
Mhm.
Wilson Cruz said that fortunately he got the script a couple of weeks ahead of time, and he was like trying to figure out how to make this one work because he said this could go really bad really easily, and he brought in like someone to help him with like an acting coach trying to kind of make decisions about what to do, and it paid off. I think it really paid
Yeah.
off a lot.
He was one of the highlights of the show for sure. I think so. Or this episode. Because I liked how his demeanor changed, and he was really it felt like a different person.
Yeah, sometimes when we have these mind melds and so forth, you don't get enough of a sense that it really is another person inhabiting the body because it's still the same actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that the choices he was making about how to demonstrate that, changing the voice, changing the stance, changing the walk, changing to more relaxed attitude about everything,
Right.
making comments about that guy really works out,
Unzipping your jacket.
yeah,
Come on, let's take a walk. He was
yeah,
just happy to be walking around.
and smiling and kind of being very, coy about stuff, just completely different. And it really helped sell that,
Right.
that you never forgot that he was not Culber at that point.
Right.
This guy really
Exactly.
works out.
Yes.
Yeah. So that worked out pretty good.
We also have the whole section with Gray in it, and this relationship that Adira is having, that's just all long distance via subspace, and now she's coming face to face,
Yep.
and they're very it's an awkward situation to say the least, because are they together? Are they not together? How is this going to all work out?
That's exactly what Adira said. That's what the questions that Adira had. What's going on?
Yeah, and I felt like they didn't come to like a really easy, quick solution to it.
But they
Mhm.
did.
down and
They
talked
get to an
about
amicable agreement, and it was resolved peacefully. I like the way that it's like, hey, are you okay with being friends? I'm okay. Oh, good. Then let's be friends.
I'll be honest with you. I felt like, I mean, I understand why they needed to resolve that because it's in the show, or at least felt like they did. But I just felt like that was kind of the weakest part of the show, a little bit.
I like the fact. Well, I like the fact that you have the character on the show, and so the character leaves to go back to Trill. It's like, and we never heard from them again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get that part. Including that character for a little bit, kind of resolve the character. But I don't know. I just felt The whole thing felt a little weak to me.
Okay.
Just
All right.
yeah,
There's lots of characters we've never heard from again. Bailey on Corbin
yeah,
Maneuver.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
looking at you, Bailey.
And also, like I was having a discussion today with Bonnie about, you remember when using the spore drive was damaging the mycelium network and they were going to be really careful with it. And they just seem to use it all the time.
Yeah.
Just, so sometimes things just kind of fall by the wayside.
Oh, remember they were even developing another Vertwell Book used it. On his ship. They were making a prototype
Right.
for another one.
Right.
So forget the mycelium network. Let's just tear that up too.
Well, that brought up a point that I don't think we talked about during the last episode when we were talking about the premiere, where they're shelving the spore drive for the pathway drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, and yet you have Discovery be the ship you send everywhere because it can get there instantly. Why would you be shelving that program?
Yeah, I know exactly. Right. And to your point earlier about them tearing up the mycelium network, there was a time when warp drive was tearing up space.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we never heard the end of that, or I'm sorry,
The
we never found out the resolve of that end of that, whatever.
the burn kind of took care of that problem.
Yeah. It kind
Right.
of, Oh,
Right.
anyway. So the next relationship we have, we touched on it as well,
Mm-hmm.
is, with Saru and his new position in the Federation, this new relationship and trying to deal with the relationship and political intrigue, and even political intrigue that we didn't see coming as a complication in this story.
Oh, yeah.
That there apparently are still Vulcan purists out there who first showed up way back in Enterprise.
Hey, you had 900 years to get rid of them, and they're still here.
Now they're Navarre purists.
Well,
True.
that's well. They refer to them as Vulcan purists. I think it's distinguished between the two races, I guess.
Yeah.
They're the old religion.
And I found that interesting because one of the scenes you have is this negotiation where Saru is making a suggestion about how to deal with the fact that one of the smaller worlds wants to have a new starbase and they can't quite swing that yet, but they're going to do more patrols and so forth in that area.
Kind of make up for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that happens. And then that's when Duval says, your decision and Tarina's support of it. And first of all, he says, well, it was her supporting, not me, but the decision.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out what was the issue. And I watched it several times going, okay, what was the thing that was the problem with that?
See, I think you're going to find that she's probably surrounded by some of those purists. I don't know whether
Maybe she is one.
I don't know if she is one or not, but I got the feeling that he was, and he was trying to change the outcome.
She said outright that he was. She knew that he was.
Okay, yeah, he was trying to change the outcome. Maybe leaving, maybe not extending ourselves, Starfleet too much, help out, without building a star, with patrols and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I was really trying to figure out, was there, in addition to everything else, was it a point that was going to come in later? And actually, one of the things that did get mentioned, I don't know, I don't know if I need a spoiler alert for this because this is a fan rumor theory.
We'll give you one for free. For free.
So this episode, as well as last episode, as well as the other episode, as well as next week's episode, all talk about the Breen. Every episode, the Breen is mentioned.
Right.
They got to be making an appearance sooner or later.
Right. So I will tell you that one of the fan theories out there is that Locke is a Breen.
Without his helmet?
Yes.
He's a green Breen?
He is a green Breen.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but to support that, because I went back and I'm listening to the episodes, they constantly say, well, we don't know about him. We don't know what species it is. We don't, and no one theoretically has ever seen a breen, even though I don't understand how on Deep Space Nine they were able to take the outfit off of a breen and not know what the breen looked like. It just didn't. But anyway, so that's a theory out there. Just keep that in mind as you're listening to episodes, and they're referring to Locke, and you constantly hear mentions of breen. Those two of I just feel like that it makes some sense, whether or not it comes to be true. It's a great theory anyway.
Well, we've seen a Klingon dressed as a human with their
That's
skin.
right.
Yeah, so
Lock and Mall rhymes with rock and roll, by the way. I'm going to make it.
I thought they actually said that in an episode for a minute. I went, what?
Yeah, I thought my hearing was going too, but now I got to write a song.
Right.
And we come now to
Jared
another.
is saying the same way. We never saw the Ferengi before, except that time when we did.
Exactly.
So yeah, speaking of Ferengi, the Nagus is looking really good in that picture.
No, that's not the Nagus.
I think he needs to moisturize.
I think so. Sunscreen, man, sunscreen.
Oh my
His
goodness.
eyes are burned.
He's wanting the reins to return to Fringanar.
I touched the reins down Ferenginar.
All right.
That's 2 songs I got to write now.
The next relationship we have to deal with is this one, Tilly and Rayner. This one certainly did not start off well.
You mean his job interviews? I mean his staff interviews?
Well, I mean,
one-on-ones.
She's trying to coordinate all this stuff and speak to him about things. Even before we get to the interviews, she can't get, because he's saying, I'm going to stay in this room. I want you to schedule 5-minute meetings with the, on duty officers. And she's looking at him like, that's not really, I'm supposed to like bring you around the ship and introduce you to people. So you get, and he's just
Would you like some coffee also? Maybe some of that Vulcan vanilla blend.
How about a nice bit?
It's not part of it's not, mission critical to be doing this. So I'm not going to be doing it. And the interviews themselves, those went really well.
I like your screenshot here. You're missing out if you're not watching the video, people.
It's Rayner versus everyone.
Yeah.
In this thing.
In 20 words or less. And then Tilly gets to, you are being a big.
Oh,
yep.
That's funny. That's funny. I thought it interesting that, to be honest, I feel like for some of these people, some of them are new.
Yep.
But for some of these people, that may be the most we're ever going to find out about this character.
I thought the same thing. I thought this was an opportunity for us to hear a little something about the crew that we have not gotten to know.
And the chances of having it happen are getting really short.
Yeah. Except for Memory Alpha.
So we don't really even get anything new about Reno, because she basically reminds them that, well, the last time I got one of these interviews, I got snacks. So
yeah, that's right.
But I think that one had to be very careful when saying that they are a real ship head.
Yes.
Pronunciation
class. Love the line.
Oh, where's the drum roll?
Pretty key there. Pretty key.
Not drum roll.
Rim shot?
Yeah, there you go. The rim shot I meant.
It was strange as well to have the new, well, as far as I can tell, the new bridge officers here rather than having, Owashikun and Detmer in this part.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know whether that was, some conflict with something the actors themselves were doing, but it just seemed
they were there for a little bit and they were gone.
Right.
I think we saw them for a brief moment at the beginning, I think, and then they were gone and they were replaced with the new people. I kept saying, "Oh, the new people are on the at the con and or at the controls," and we never saw them again.
We also get to find out that indeed the Tribble was neutered, so that's good to know.
Whew.
Yeah,
dodged the bullet there.
Get your tribble spayed or neutered, as Bob Barker always said.
That's right. That's the way I remember it, Chuck.
Remember, he would say that every single episode of, The Price is Right.
That's right.
I was hoping that there was some major method to Rayner's madness here, but it was really that surface level. I know one thing about this person. It's kind of like, that when you enjoy apple pie or some kind of special thing at your grandma's house once, and then that's all you're known for. I feel like he found out one thing that the person could say in 20 words or less, and that's what they're going to latch onto.
But that's all he needed later.
Yeah, but I just don't feel like it was the spirit at all of what was supposed to be going on here. And obviously
I know.
it wasn't. But, I felt frustrated that we didn't get him to say, oh, and, that combined with blah, 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 and he just kind of
Yeah.
did something brilliant. But no, it was just very, until he calls out that as well. Well, those are facts, but it's really not the same thing.
Yeah. It's like pulling one index card from somebody's library and going, I got you.
Yeah, so he's still at this point looking like he needs a long way to go.
By the end of the next episode, he's making progress.
He is. All right. So do we have any other things we want to cover on Janal? I did really like the set of the caves. I have a image of that in here someplace. They always are using the wall for stuff, and I just felt like it was a really nice. It's like one of those things that you can make that into a fine restaurant if you wanted to. It's a very nice looking environment there.
The restaurant at the end of the universe.
What did you think of the cloaked beasties that shot darts at you?
You know what I thought as I'm watching that? I think we saw that clip so long ago. I don't remember when it was supposed to be coming out that we saw that clip. I felt like, is that from a previous season, that same monster? Because I know I've seen that monster before.
Familiar, yeah.
And it's because they ran a clip probably like 2 years ago, it seems like
a sizzle reel or something. Like a sizzle reel for this
film 2 years ago, but it's certainly several months ago.
Yeah, and because I remember them flying in, and they were.
It reminds me of the Rush album cover, "Fly by Night" with the owl.
That is exactly what inspired this.
Yeah,
sure it was. You know what I was listening to last night?
Yeah,
we should put that in the show.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All righty. So we are going to now, if we don't have any other further thoughts, of course, on it. I'm trying to think if I've got anything here. Oh, is it me, or does Reno seem more like a parent some days to Adira than her space dads?
I did think that was the case.
They seem to have much more intimate conversations about.
Oh, so they have a space mom now.
Yeah,
like Wesley Crusher.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what should we rate this on?
Those invisible beasts.
Okay, do you remember what they're called? Because I'm trying to think if
I didn't write that one down.
Those invisible beasts.
Those invisible beasts. I know I've it written down, but not right here, and we'll just go with that. All right, I will go first.
All right.
And I am going to rate this one. I'm going to rate this an 8 3/4. I really liked that it was about relationships. I mean, that's what Discovery was mostly about. The only part I really didn't like was this part with the invisible beast, because it dragged on too much of the episode. We kept cutting back and forth to it, and it's like, okay, we get it. They're going to get there or they're not going to get there. And, Booker gets poisoned, and then they're trapped in a cave, and then this and the Discovery. And it's just like, okay. Now, I understand the need for it to be enough of a trial that their life is in danger, because this is what Janal is trying to ascertain. How will they react to this? But I don't know. It just, I think the threat wasn't severe enough
Yeah.
to justify that. And so that brings it down some for me. So 8 3/4. How about you, Craig?
Well, I kind of agree with you. I feel like that the stakes weren't high enough for this particular episode, that everything was kind of even, and he just, gave him the piece at the end. But you can see where they're leading with splitting up everybody and showing how they're going to go in their own directions because of these relationships at at the end of the season, or
Mhm.
the season. I felt like this is probably a little bit on the weaker side of all the episodes we've seen so far. Not that I didn't like it, but it just the Adira and Gray thing, just I don't know. I felt like it was a little flat, but I understand why it was there. Culber was the highlight. Wilson Cruz was highlight there on the whole
Absolutely.
episode. So I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay.
I'm going to
What
give
about
it
you,
an 8
Chuck?
also. Similar feelings. I realize we're on a journey. This is a long arc, getting all the puzzle pieces. We actually got one this episode, so that was a win. Had we not gotten there, probably a little lower, 7.5 or 7 3/4. But overall, enjoyable.
I'll tell you another point. Are you done, Chuck?
No, go ahead. Well, I was going
Yes.
to have another point but you go ahead.
The other point I meant to make was this episode also kind of highlighted a point that you made, which was uh, that we don't know much about the rest of the crew. So we have the montage almost of showing them talking about themselves briefly, and I think that is probably where, if anything, Discovery kind of failed on the whole time, focusing just on Michael, which
Mhm.
Sonequa
And
Mark Green was.
Saru and
I mean,
Tilly.
listen, well, Sonequa Martin Green was fantastic. However, I think just being her the focus, and you see all these people around, but you don't know anything about them. I think that was a low point of Discovery altogether, and I think that montage just kind of highlighted that.
I'm Carl. I like turtles.
Yeah. The other thing I jotted down,
I
I
like
wanted
the
to,
Tin Man.
yeah. When Culber comes in for his interview and he says he has some information, and so Rayner says, use as many words as you like, which completely befuddles Culber. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Did anybody else are they just describing Project Genesis again? Because everything he was saying sounded like Project Genesis.
I picked up on that on the first pair of episodes. I went, we're looking for something that can create life, but in the
Mhm.
wrong hands. Like,
Yeah.
here we go.
Oh, that's
I mentioned that a couple episodes ago.
yeah.
Oh,
You're right. You did mention that. I mean, that's a clear
But I mean, this is
distinction
like
there.
just almost line for line describing, like, you have Carol Marcus come in and say, you've shorthanded that too much. Yeah, I'm going to give you the whole spiel right now.
yeah. Let's hope the progenitors didn't use proto matter.
Well, let's
He
hope
just
so.
he just need
Otherwise,
McCoy
we're
to pop
all in
in.
trouble.
He just need McCoy to pop in and what? And start arguing with Spock about it.
All right.
You
It's time
matrix. Do
to
you
go
hear
on,
what you're saying?
go
Yeah,
on to
yeah.
my goodness. Our second,
You green-blooded son of a.
go on.
Sorry, his 20 words just ran out.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that was it. That was
Phew.
it.
All right. Craig, you want to walk us through the next episode?
Sure. So we got season 5, episode 4, "Face the Strange," written by Sean Cochran and directed by Lee Rose. And the synopsis reads: On the way to the next clue, the U.S. Discovery is sabotaged by a mysterious weapon, leaving Captain Burnham, Rayner, and Stamets as the only crew members who can possibly save the ship in time.
Sean Cochran, great ancestor of Zephram.
Yes,
Okay, good.
absolutely.
That's
Exactly.
exactly right. Yeah.
All right. So let's get into this one because this is like Disco's greatest hits in this episode.
It was. Yeah.
But we
We
start
have
off,
another mechanism to manipulate time. A time bug.
but before we get to that, one of the things that I wanted to mention was the first scene, which was like X number of hours ago or something like that,
Yeah.
where they're making the deal on Lyric, and Locke hands over the satchel full of the gold pressed latinum, and it's covered in poison. And so
Functional poisoning.
the contact dies, and I felt like Maul really became an irredeemable character in that moment. Like, she was all in on it. Locke was kind of, he was shoving the guy aside when he tried to like crawl over to him and so forth, but he had the slightest inkling of, I don't know if we should be doing all this stuff. And she was like, no, we got to do it. It's like, so it's like she was in it for the kicks, and that was it. And it just, I don't know if that's a character that can be redeemed.
This is not the same sweet young lady I went on a snorkeling trip with.
Yeah, what happened to her?
In
Right.
just a few weeks. Wow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was an interesting exchange up right there, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I feel like if we obviously have this relationship again between Booker and Maul, but I don't know if it's going to come down to a case of family versus something else, and he's going to have to decide whether or not he goes with it. And even he admits it's tenuous connection as family, because she's the daughter of his mentor. That's the grand sum total of the connection between the two of them. I thought, wow, they've really gone extreme on how they're presenting this character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of the feeling we got out of what's her name from Picard. Just willing to go to all ends. The lady who was driving the other ship and communicating with.
Oh, right. Yep.
The name is escaping me at the moment, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Smoke cigars, lovely young lady.
Right.
But yeah, they were trying to portray that, and then that kind of fell apart at the end, in my opinion. So don't always believe everything you see.
Yeah. So I'll be interested, and keeping an eye on that to find out how that develops as for that character, because we're seeing lots of things between these two, and that seems to be the dynamic, that Locke is trying to like throttle things back a bit all the time, and she's just pushing down on that gas pedal.
Whatever it takes to get this thing. Yeah. We'll be free. We'll be okay at all costs.
So in our main story at this point, we start off kind of where we left off in the last episode, because Raynor is just not being a people person at all. Reese comes up with a theory about, well, maybe they're tracking us or something like that, and
That's a
we have no
stupid
evidence
idea
of that. And he's just and Burnham is staring at Raynor like, will you stop?
Okay, I got a question. At this point, she calls him into the ready room, and they both beam off the bridge. Is the ready room no longer adjacent to the bridge?
Well, I thought about that, and first of all, yes, it is.
There's a solid wall now. There's no door.
Yeah, that's it.
No,
I think the reason they did that, well, first of all, in my opinion, they used the personal transporters way too much to begin with. They're walking towards the ship, and they just personal transport instead of walking up the ramp.
Well, so if there's a closed door in front of you, you just get lazy and go through it, past it.
It seems to be the way, but
yours are
in
annoying.
This case, in this episode, I thought it was poor to have them beam to just the ready room, which we know is next door.
I think they did that twice.
But the thing is, you want to establish that they are not walking from one place to another, so that when they're done, or they need to
beam back,
get back to the bridge, they beam.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's as a precursor to the whole.
I'll look at it this way: they've been beaming around so much, just walking 10 feet is exhausting.
They're not getting their steps in.
No, they got I was all over the ship. How many steps did you get in? 12.
Pulls up the hood on the thing. Oh, I only got 12 steps.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh
But
boy.
I really got to
we,
stop beaming around.
we find out that actually Reese was dead on because
Mhm.
there was a bug on the ship. We find out at the end of Janal that Maul has placed something on Adira's.
How did they get to Trill? They didn't have the whole equation.
I
Well,
think
she was there.
She was there, but how did they get there? Remember the
I think
Burnham
that was
and
the
Crew
information
were
that
they
I
had
think that was
to
the information that they somehow got from that dealer. I
Mhm.
don't know how that dealer would have gotten that information, but I got a feeling that that's
He knew it was there, but didn't know how to get it. You know,
so.
so
I think that they
they-
Well,
used
then it's
because
not a
remember they
very
went.
good secret if you can get it without getting to the magic stone and moving it.
Well, the thing is that we don't know if the dealer only had the last line and didn't have the other lines, right? I mean, but that's my assumption is that they get to Lyric and they have to make this negotiation, and that's when Discovery says, well, they're on Lyric, but they're headed this way now. So they had made that because I think that's part of why it says 15 hours earlier for
Okay.
that portion of it. When we find out that they're there, and that's then why they leave there to get to Trill.
This trail doesn't sound as hard to follow as we were led to believe.
Well, that was another question that I had that relates to really the story as a total, not just what happened there. Is with Janal, okay, to be worthy, you just have to be good at puzzles. This is something that they lied to the president of the Federation about, saying that, nope, we didn't find anything. And they tried to erase themselves from history. And now, if you're good at Sudoku, well, you can have it.
right.
I, I mean, he did
Yeah.
have an aspect to it where he's trying to, judge their moral character, but I don't know. And I just, at this point, I'm kind of getting really Red Angel vibes, which is a great segue
Yeah.
because we see the Red Angel.
They start jumping around as they're trying to beam out. They get caught by this time bug. And so we've got Rayner and Burnham who are hopping around in time at weird intervals, sometimes going forward, sometimes going backward.
Yeah.
And they
And
find
actually-
out what the destiny of the ship is because
Well,
sort
you
of
do and
what
you
it's
don't.
supposed to be.
We're going to get there. We're going to get
Oh, okay.
there.
I did enjoy this part. I think
Yeah,
that-
it was interesting. I thought that there were some bizarre choices that they made, not with the places that they went to, but how they represented those places. This one is fine. When you've got, Burnham as this blur because they're now going into the future at this point, and everyone on the ship is unconscious because, they're taking their trip, and they that's just before Detmer wakes up and, crash lands them on the planet. So that one was fine. But I felt like the next choice one of the choices that they had where they, let's see,
They had to break the warp
where,
bubble.
Yeah,
where
they
Starfleet
went to where it was being built.
was being built. The Discovery was being built next to the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we just got Iowa was one thing,
Hey,
but now they're just building them.
it's ridiculous because you know what the real estate values are around San Diego or San
And
Francisco?
Iowa.
Yeah.
In the future, money is not an object to be concerned about. So that was a bizarre choice. I mean, I don't have a problem with them going to the construction
Mhm.
of Discovery, but did we have to see the Golden Gate Bridge out the window? That just because it doesn't to me say anything that helps, right? It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't say a construction yard. It doesn't say.
Right.
So it seemed an odd choice.
Yeah.
And the next choice was,
Hey,
I thought,
you know good and well, property owners in San Francisco would not want a shipbuilding place near their house, bring down their values.
well, I don't know. In the future, it looks like Starfleet is taking over all of San Francisco. So
Yeah,
maybe
we
they
take
were
over
not-
what was previously America.
Now, the other thing I thought was a very bizarre choice was in the battle with Control. A missed opportunity was to not at least hear Pike's voice at some point, because he's commanding the Enterprise, trying to, work with the Discovery. And all Burnham says about this period is like, well, that was quite a thing or something.
Mhm.
This is where you left your brother.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
No thought about that. No thought that, oh, gee, no emotional. Oh, that's right. Spock is here. And you're like, no, none
Yeah.
of that.
That should have come up because he was a big story point in the previous or in 3.
I just, I felt like sometimes the choices of where to go
Mm-hmm.
were great. The choices of how to
Yep.
represent it
Yeah.
were off.
Yeah.
Like Burnham on Burnham action.
Actually, I thought that was pretty cool. She was
Yeah, that was fun.
fighting herself.
That
That
was
was
fun.
like, you got to have one of, you got to have Captain Kirk fighting Captain Kirk, Picard fighting Picard. You got to have those.
At least, yeah, you don't have a Star Trek series unless you have
The captain fighting each other. Fighting himself.
That's
be fighting themselves.
I wrestle with my inner demons. Well, there he is.
I did like, they finally figure out that Stamets has the tardigrade DNA, so he operates kind of outside time, but he's impacted by the situation he was in. So when we find him in sickbay with a chunk of metal in his chest,
Yep.
Culber's about to sedate him,
He's
but he's
begging
no,
him not
we
to.
gotta help.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, I forgot how painful this was." And when they finally catch up to him and they need to clear out engineering, it's spore breach. Mushrooms will grow in your lungs. Everybody leaves. And
I'm very upset that my crew doesn't know that that's not a real thing.
That's right.
And then later he gives up on it. He just yells, "Get out!"
Right.
Well, I like the fact that, he comes up with these bizarre things. And then when it's supposed to be old Stamets, he just says, I'm in a very bad mood and everyone should leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a bit crankier in the pre-tardigrade days.
He's reverting.
I like that he could just recall his old personality and make it believable.
Yeah.
So he was always wearing the time appropriate uniform because he's in that period. I guess just his consciousness is moving around. But
Well, he's
whereas
moving around, but he's moving through those same times, I guess. Yeah.
Arnhem and Rayner, they're wearing their future outfits. So yeah, they get questioned once in a while, like, what'd you do to your hair? What's with the outfit?
And of course, Linus says, red is your color,
And, and we get to see Arium.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
That was
We get-
unexpected but enjoyable.
We get to see Arium, and it's
And have some lines to speak.
right. I kind of wish they'd had the old actress back to be doing the part to be appropriate for the time period, but that was just like a bucket list type. That's not really
Yeah.
meant to be, but put in the graphic, talking on the bridge, Burnham talking on the bridge. It's a funny story. Well, for most of us, it's a funny story about what
Yeah.
happens.
Right.
For most of us, yeah.
Yeah, I was
So-
trying to figure out how she was going to convince them,
Yeah.
and she actually did a pretty good job very quickly.
Well, she
'Cause,
went where you wouldn't expect her to go, Arium, you're going to die saving us.
Yeah.
Which no one else was having any of, but Aaron was like, yeah, I would do that. I would
Yeah.
definitely do that.
Yep.
I thought it was very interesting. The other one that we have in here that I think you were touching on, I think which is really small, not that one. We will get there. Is what at first you believe is the Calypso episode,
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
but it's not.
No.
It's not. And some of the reasons why is, first of all, Zora knows that the crew is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And in Calypso, she's waiting for the crew.
That's right. To return. Yeah.
Right.
In Calypso, the ship is completely clean. In this one, it's a wreck and she's like losing it already, let alone 900 years from now. And the most important reason is this version of Discovery that's there is the 32nd century. Calypso has the 23rd century version of Discovery.
Oh, so we may never get to see
Right.
the connection to Calypso.
Right.
No, I don't see. I didn't understand it that way. I thought that in Calypso, the ships have
Federation
been
has
waiting for
co-op.
almost 1,000 years.
Right.
Well, that's how far they jumped into the future
Right.
in Discovery. So I thought that was going to end up lining up.
Right. And it so far it hasn't.
Right. I know you're right. Yeah. But I'm
Because,
saying,
and again, and I think a lot of people were, as soon as they got to the 32nd century and Discovery had the retrofit
mhm,
to have the, the detached nacelles and so forth, they said,
Mhm.
well, how is that going to work with Calypso?
mhm.
And this one didn't.
See, I'll be disappointed if they don't tie it in somehow at the end, because I thought I liked Calypso a lot, and I was like, oh, I'm wondering where'd the crew go? Just part of the story.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'll be disappointed if they don't tie that in.
Because I was really hoping, as I think you guys were when we heard old time music
Here you go.
playing from the bridge.
Exactly how many Starfleet buildings have
Yeah.
that view of the
I know. Well, it's like it's the infinite view. It's like if you're in Washington, D.C., you have a view of the Capitol out your window. Doesn't matter where you are. You have a view of the
Or the
Capitol.
Washington Monument. Or both.
a perfect view. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. No buildings, no nothing in the way.
Yeah.
They had to tear down Skywalker Ranch to get that view.
That's right. Sacrifices had to be made. And speaking about sacrifices, so Burnham runs into Book, and that gets complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're still in a very serious relationship at this point.
Yes.
And she clearly, no surprise, is really not over him because
Yep.
she finds it too easy to slip back into the relationship.
That's right.
And she knows it, that,
She
I think
needs
that's
some
why she
therapy.
started just going, but I got to go. She says that she loves him, so I think that that story is not quite over yet. Not quite
Of
over.
course not.
But through all of this, we have Rayner playing the part of trying to experiencing all these things, because he starts off the episode saying that, well, you don't understand, here in these times with all the stuff going on, that we have to make split-second decisions, and there's things happening all the time. And suddenly he goes through the history of what the heck has happened to Discovery and goes, holy crap.
Right.
Wow. And you started off as, wow, I think I misjudged you and this crew, and whoo.
Yeah.
So that was a nice, kind of slap him in the face going, it's not just about you, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, this whole episode, the time travel thing was a way to bring Rayner up to speed a little bit, and show how far the crew and everybody and Michael's come, while those flashbacks. And this is a good one where she's trying to convince herself. And the old
Right.
Michael is ready to fight. The new the older one, I guess you'd say, didn't want to. She said so. So you could tell that Michael was not hard headed, but more stern. The younger one.
Wouldn't you
And
think
Craig-
the Red Michael would have some new moves?
Yeah, because she should have learned some from her mother,
Yeah,
And
for the most part, they were doing shot for shot.
Yep.
Kind of
Yep.
like Captain America when he was fighting himself. He was doing
But-
the same thing.
And Red Michael was probably on the defensive because she didn't want to
True.
hurt. So she knew how to block all of Blue Michael's moves. But at some point, you got to put her down, and she gave her the old Vulcan neck pinch.
Oh, I'll tell you something else I saw. When we saw the different Michaels, not even just together, but in two different areas. The blue one here,
Mhm.
she it was funny how much Vulcan like she was, because
Yes.
she was still green from her green. She was
But
still fresh from her time on Vulcan, as opposed to the red one where she's obviously more human
Right. I
acting
think,
now.
Craig, I don't know if this was on purpose or you just happened to, but you said you were watching one of the season 1 episodes and you're going, I forgot how
Yeah.
Vulcan like Burnham was. And then, well,
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
And, so Sonequa has to go in and like channel what she had been doing. Oh, what was it?
Several years ago.
Yeah, like 4 or 5
7?
years prior.
Well, yeah, you can watch her. You can. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chuck.
We started this podcast in 2017 when season 1 came out.
Right.
Yeah.
But they filmed this like 2 years ago now at this point.
Yeah.
But she probably had to go back and watch a bit of it herself to remember, how
Right.
stiff and Vulcan like she had to act.
Yeah. She was like, yeah, she was stiff and very, as a matter of fact, kind of attitude and almost like she knew everything that she needed to know. And so she's lost that over time and realized that maybe she doesn't know everything, but and she's relying on people
And,
as opposed to where she was before.
and the real tough sell for her was she's looking at this person and she says, Captain, oh, come on,
Yeah,
and they
I
get to
would
the
never.
bridge. Yeah, when she gets to the bridge, they say, I'm the captain of the Discovery. They go, all right, now you've gone
Yeah.
too far.
Yeah,
It's like, are you fangirling at this point about, is this a fan fiction of yours that you're the captain of the ship? What is going on here?
that's right.
All
But
right.
I think they did that very well, though. That
Yeah.
whole contrast right there.
So I think that this is one of the things that I did like about the episode. It wasn't always a bad choice. And I feel like you had to have Burnham run into Burnham, obviously, at some point. And I think that it helped drive home the point that, she's been on a journey, the ship's been on a journey, the crew's been on a journey, and we're seeing all of that. And it's very surprising almost to think that this was not meant to be part of the last season.
Mhm.
This was supposed to be another season might be coming after this. And so this is an episode in the season where it feels like we're going to remind you as we're wrapping up here, the journey that's been happening all this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and we've been on it and they've been on it. They've been on it too. All right. Any other thoughts on Face the Strange besides the fact that David Bowie's estate must be getting some royalties? I don't know.
Maybe. No, I don't have anything else. I don't think.
Time bugs.
Time bugs. All right.
Well, that's
Can I
what we're
read
going to
it?
rate this on. Time bugs.
Okay. Get your chronoton machine ready just in case. We start off with you then, Chuck.
I'm going to give this an 8.5. I enjoyed it. I like the way it was put together. I like the way that they, because sometimes time shifty stuff can go awry and doesn't always come off as believable, but they pulled this off well. Plus there's Burnham on Burnham battle. So you gotta like that. And we got to see some, old familiar faces, as well as the potential future if they don't solve their mission. There was no puzzle piece acquired in this one. So,
True.
you got 5 puzzle pieces, but 10 episodes. So we're not going to get a piece every episode, obviously. Hopefully they won't wait until the last episode to get the last piece. That would be a little dumb. But
and we Sonequa Martin Green was being interviewed and she said that they didn't have Lorca in this episode, when they were in on that Discovery.
You had mentioned about Pike, and I was thinking, hey, they're crossing into Lorca time frame.
Right. Well, that's when they say that Lorca and Saru and
Yep.
they're on a mission, but because they didn't see this as last season, last chance to have Lorca on. I think if they had, they would have tried really hard to do it.
Oh, that was the first. Well, I know that they didn't realize that this is going to be the last scene, like you said. But when we were aware of that, I was like, oh, they better get Lorca in there.
And I think one of the reasons that they might not have gotten Jason Isaacs in is because he was doing at that time, he had a show on CBS. I think it was a doctor's show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible that well, the schedules have to work out, but we've got time to take care of that later on. So let's not worry about it now. And
Oops.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. On 1 to 10 time bugs, Craig, what about you?
I'm gonna get this at 8.5 as well. I thought it was really good. It was a good episode to kind of highlight their personal evolution, and embracing the change, which you've seen by Michael, of course. And it gave Michael and Raynor a chance to, address their strained relationship too a little bit, and Raynor also a chance to learn to trust in other people and a little bit more because I think he needs a lot of that, to especially trying to work with Discovery's crew, who is now pretty good with each other. Everybody's working together really well, especially the last couple of seasons, I guess. So it's totally 8.5, I think.
Even though we know nothing about them. Well, we don't not know anything. We just know very little about them.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to go as well with 8.5. I wanted to rate this one higher. It was those things I talked about where great place to land for, one of the segments. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it seemed like a missed opportunity. And even without Lorca, I was fine just having, Burnham run into Burnham. That was fine. It was those other places that was kind of more a problem with me that it could have just, it was so close to being like, amazing,
But it could have equally have gone off the rails
Yeah.
because it would have been one of those montage shows,
yeah.
when Riker got old.
And you
Yeah.
have to, right. You also have to then balance off, the story with being wowed by cameos. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
Was Jet truly a cameo?
I don't know, but she had a great line. She had, get a better helmet next time.
Yeah. It seems like she only has cameos.
I believe that she was still somewhat doing isolation. So I think
Really?
that
Okay.
she wasn't necessarily always there for the filming.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if any of her stuff is green screened this season like it was last season, but that may have something to do with it as well.
All
Not
right.
sure. All righty. And I'm gonna like I said, for me it's an 8.5 on this one as well. So I think that was,
We agree, all three.
Pretty good. All right, that's about going to wrap it up for our reviews of these 2 episodes. But if you have additional thoughts, please let us know. You can leave.
Oh, wait! I got one.
Oh,
I'm sorry, it just went away. I had a thought. Just kidding. That was a fleeting thought. Never mind.
and just when I wasn't on a roll, too.
I say we give them the airlock.
Yeah.
But anyway, so our next
Settle Potter airlock for a while.
Our next recording is actually going to be also off of schedule because of other people's schedules that are happening. So we're going to record on Saturday, May 11th at 9:30, I guess, usual time.
Sure.
Okay, so usual time, but May 11th. We talk about more episodes of season 5. We're approaching the halfway point to the end of the season and the end of the series.
Is that going to be 3 episodes?
What's that?
3 episodes.
Possibly.
10?
Math
Yeah.
is hard.
Today's the 22nd, so we'll have one on the 25th. We'll have one on the 2nd. We'll have one on the 9th. Oh, we're going to have to cover 3 episodes. We're going to make it quick.
All right, gonna be a biggie. So hopefully nothing at all happens at
Yeah.
all with Paramount Global. in the next
I'll
3
call
weeks.
Kurtzman and arrange that.
Okay, yeah, and I'll get in touch with Sherry Redstone and say, knock it off for a couple of weeks, okay? Just knock it off.
Right.
Alrighty. But with that said, it's time to refill the dead lithium chamber and attempt to warp on out of here. You can find me, Clinton, at Comedy Forecast, all one word with the number 4.com. And I have another episode coming out very shortly, which is going to be a look ahead at summer movies. But Danny Hillcrest's take on them. So, your mileage
there-
may vary.
Is there a time bug and he goes back and forth?
I wish. And who speaks for you guys?
I will. So, so you can find Chuck and I over at Technorama, and you can just search for Technorama Podcast in Google and find us, and it's at chuckchat.com. And you can find us pretty much at any place where they play podcasts.
Wherever you find your finest podcasts, to be sure.
Yeah, we'll be in the other sites.
I should have gone. Clearly, I should have spoken.
You can find us in the DVD bin at Target. Oh, wait, you can't. The DVD bin at Best Buy. Oh, wait, you can't. Never mind. Never mind. All right. It's time to hit the theme, boys. No, Eric. No time for you.
Are you mumbling about?
Oh, my. If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter at The Topic is Trek. Visit our Facebook page or visit thetopicistrek.com. Oh, did I say Twitter? I meant X. Until next time, on behalf of Chuck, Craig, and myself, I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always say here on The Topic is Trek,
Don't
Put
put on
the
the
red
shirt.
shirt.
Oh, Charlie's back. Well, no, he's dead, but he still looks marvelous in red.
I think red's your color.
I was waiting for you to say it's better to look good than to feel good.
It looks marvelous.
Yeah.
You look marvelous.
Alrighty. That
Father, he was
broadcast
saying,
day.
Fernando, don't be a schnook. It's not how you feel. It's how you look.
Well, as we head off to Fernando's Hideaway, we're going to bid you all adieu. Thank you for watching. Thank you for contributing to Jared out there with key pieces of information.
Yes. Vatic. Captain Amanda Plummer.
There you go.
Ah,
We have to put there. Thank you for that.
all
All right.
right.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.